I saved a drowning woman, but I didn't expect her to show up at my door like that. Have you ever done something kind and never expected to see that person again? I certainly hadn't. That rainy evening changed my life forever, not because I saved someone from drowning, but because of what happened 3 weeks later, when the same woman knocked on my front door carrying a small, worn-out envelope. Inside was a secret that would rewrite everything I thought I knew about my own past. Before we begin, let me know where you're watching from. And if you enjoy emotional stories with unexpected twists, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. Now, let's begin. It was a cold Thursday evening in late October. The rain had been falling since noon, turning every street into a mirror of gray skies and yellow streetlights. I had just finished another exhausting shift repairing heating systems across town. At 42 years old, life had become painfully predictable. Wake up, work, come home, microwave dinner, sleep, repeat. My wife had passed away 5 years earlier, after a long battle with cancer. We never had children. After she was gone, the house felt too quiet. Friends slowly stopped calling. Family had their own lives. Eventually, loneliness became something I carried like an old winter coat. Heavy, but familiar. As I drove home, I noticed traffic slowing near the old Riverside Bridge. People had stepped out of their cars. Some were shouting. Others simply stared toward the river. Curious, I parked and walked closer. That's when I saw her. A woman was struggling in the freezing water. She wasn't swimming. She was sinking. The current was pulling her farther away every second. People had their phones out. Some were recording. Others were yelling for help. Someone yelled that emergency services were on the way. But nobody moved. Nobody jumped. I don't remember making a decision. One moment, I was standing on the bridge. The next, I was in the river. The cold hit me like thousands of knives. The current was stronger than I expected. For a terrifying moment, I wondered if I had made the biggest mistake of my life. Then I saw her face. Fear. Pure fear. I grabbed her jacket just before she slipped beneath the surface. She fought against me at first. People drowning often do. I wrapped one arm around her and kicked with everything I had. It felt like hours. In reality, it was probably less than 2 minutes. A rescue team reached us with ropes just before my strength gave out. They pulled us onto the riverbank. I lay there coughing water, staring up at the rain. Paramedics surrounded the woman. She was alive. That was enough for me. Before anyone asked questions, I quietly walked away. I didn't even learn her name. 3 weeks passed. Life returned to normal. I thought it had. One Saturday morning, someone knocked on my door. Standing there was the woman from the river. She looked completely different. Healthy. Calm. Her long brown hair was neatly tied back. She wore a simple navy coat and held an old envelope with shaking hands. "You probably don't remember me," she said softly. I smiled. "I remember." Tears instantly filled her eyes. "I've been searching for you every day." I invited her inside. She introduced herself as Emily, 36 years old, a music teacher. She thanked me again and again. But it quickly became obvious. She hadn't come just to say thank you. She carefully placed the envelope on my kitchen table. "My father asked me to give this to the man who saved my life." I frowned. "What does your father have to do with this?" Emily looked at me for a long moment. "He knew your mother." My heart stopped. My mother had died nearly 20 years earlier. "What do you mean?" Emily slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a faded black and white photograph. A young woman stood beside a smiling man outside a small diner. The woman was my mother. The man I'd never seen before. My father carried this picture his entire life, Emily whispered. He told me that if anything ever happened to him, and if I ever met the man who saved me, I should give this to you. Nothing made sense until she told me the story. 45 years earlier, my mother had worked at a roadside diner while attending nursing school. Emily's father, Daniel, was a young mechanic. They became close friends, very close. Life eventually pulled them in different directions. My mother moved away. Daniel stayed behind. They never saw each other again, or so everyone believed. Daniel discovered something shocking. My mother had secretly paid for his mother's hospital treatment after a terrible accident. She never told him, never expected repayment. She simply helped because she knew he couldn't afford it. Daniel spent decades trying to find her. By the time he finally located her, she had already passed away. He never got the chance to say thank you. Emily looked down. My father always said, kindness never disappears. It just waits for the right moment to come back. I couldn't speak. All my life, I thought my mother lived an ordinary life. I had no idea how many people she'd quietly helped. Emily continued visiting every weekend. Sometimes we'd drink coffee. Sometimes we'd simply sit in silence. She told me how depression had overwhelmed her after losing both parents within 2 years. The day she fell into the river, she wasn't simply walking near the bridge. She had given up. Saving her hadn't just rescued her body, it had saved her future. She returned to teaching music. She started volunteering at a crisis center. She smiled again, and somehow her healing helped mine. For the first time since losing my wife, the house no longer felt empty. One afternoon, Emily handed me another small package. Inside was my mother's old diary. Daniel had somehow obtained it years earlier from a family friend while searching for answers. He never opened it. He believed it belonged to me. That night, I read every page. Most entries were ordinary. Work, bills, dreams, recipes. But one sentence stopped me cold. It read, "If kindness returns to us, it should arrive as hope, not as debt." I read those words over and over. Suddenly, everything made sense. I hadn't saved Emily expecting anything. My mother hadn't helped Daniel expecting anything. Real kindness asks for nothing, yet somehow, it always finds its way home. Months later, Emily invited me to her school's annual music concert. Hundreds of parents filled the auditorium. She stepped onto the stage. "I'd like to dedicate our final song," she announced, "to a man who reminded me that one stranger can save an entire life." She looked directly at me. The audience applauded. I felt my eyes fill with tears, not because people were clapping, but because for the first time in years, I finally believed my life still mattered. Today, whenever people ask why I jumped into that freezing river, I always give the same answer. Because sometimes, you don't save a stranger, you save a future friend. You honor the kindness someone else once gave. And without realizing it, you may even discover a forgotten piece of your own story. The greatest rewards in life rarely arrive as money. Sometimes, they arrive as a knock on your front door, a faded photograph, an old diary, and the reminder that kindness is never truly lost. It simply travels quietly through the lives of people. It comes home. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment telling us the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes that kindness can change the world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.